and welcome to the Earned First podcast. I'm David Blecken, Research and Insights Editor of Earned First, and joining me today from Singapore is Tetsuya Honda, the CEO of Honda Office, and as of March, the founder of PR Collective Asia. Welcome, Tetsuya.
Hi, David. Thank you for inviting me to the podcast. Great to see you again.
Yeah, very nice to see you again as well. So I've known Tetsuya for a long time, and we recently spoke quite a bit about his new venture, PR Collective Asia, which we will discuss in this podcast as well. But first, just bearing in mind that not everyone will be familiar with Tetsuya or what he does. Tetsuya, can I just ask you to say a little bit about what Honda Office is and what your vision is, or what your vision has been since you launched it?
Okay, sure. Thank you, David. Well, first of all, I've been in this industry quite a long time. I would say more than 25 years. And I spent almost 20 years in Fleishman Hillard in the Omnicom group. Long time, my time in the Omnicom. And 6 years ago, I left them and I established my own company, Honda Office. And the vision of Honda Office, what we're doing, a couple of things. The one is that we separated clearly the strategic planning and executions. So many of you know that when you say PR agency, it's both. Of course, developing a PR strategy, PR planning, as well as doing executions. Yeah. But the vision of the Honda office is just focus on strategic planning. We are not doing executions anymore. And the second thing was it's about people. What I call it the flexible teaming. So actually, as a Honda office, we don't have like permanent employees for Honda office. I create the team case by case. It all depends on what clients need and what kind of the contribution we can do. Each by each, I create the dedicated team every time and support our clients. So the separation of strategy and execution and the people, flexible teaming, was the kind of vision that I had.
Right. And I mean, I've always been curious, as to what sort of led you down this route. I mean, you had lots of experience, running an agency, a digital communications agency, in a fairly traditional network. So you could have just gone on and launched your own agency. But why did you? What led you to decide to take this this model where you separate, where you only do strategy, and where you work with different people all the time instead of set kind of employees?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that was my vision. But at the same time, it's all about the clients, of course. Through my 20 years with my, hundreds of clients work in Omnicom, uh, flexibility is one of the key things. When it look at from, client's point of view. Yep. So somehow it's difficult to have enough flexibility within the traditional type of the agency. So that's the point. And the strategy and executions things is the same. Sometimes it's not so easy to keep the same quality for strategic development and executions. And well, sometimes as a top of the the agency in Omnicom, I heard clients are sometimes complaining these things less flexible, or like sometimes the strategy is good but execution is not so good. These frustration is going on in client side. So it came to me that maybe I should have more flexible type of the model to support Japanese clients. Yeah, that was the reason why.
Hmm. And do you see, has that demand for flexibility increased since you began? Have
I
you seen
think
more?
so.
Mm.
I would say so. Well, it used to be, as you might know, especially Japanese clients are more conservative. You know, they kind of get used to working with the big traditional agency and fixed team. So that's the way Japanese clients want it, conservative way. But I think it has been changing, and the new generations at the client side, would, prefer more flexible model. I mean, results. Result is all about So these days they don't that much care about the fixed team, long time contribution. I think it's changing a lot.
Mm. So the results are what matter. It's
Yeah,
the outcomes that matter, not the process so much.
exactly. And the another thing is, I would say the how much you understand the clients matters, of course. But sometimes, these days, clients want us to really fresh idea, and mostly looking for something new. So it's kind of balanced that to understand the clients, it's important, of course. But at the same time, the flexible team can provide the something new, more and more experience or knowledge. These new things which client doesn't know. So that's another thing that they need. The team like us.
So you mean it? Um, they want they want to be surprised. They want uh, they want sort of unexpected, you know, insights, and they want to have things that they're not expecting.
I think so. Well, these days you never expect what's happening, and um, Japanese company used to kind of protect their own way, and how to do PR, how to make advertisement, how to create a content, these things.
Hmm.
There's certain fixed way that they get used to, but they believe it's not enough these days to just stick into the existing methods, ways, approaches. So they really believe that they need to change somehow. um, yeah, I think so, yeah.
And that's the philosophy also behind PR Collective, which I mentioned earlier. So let's talk a bit about that. So you launched PR Collective Asia in March, as a network designed to help Japanese companies strengthen their reputation and brands, trust, all these things. Um, Basically, be more successful in Southeast Asia. So, can you just briefly say again? People, not everyone will know what this is. Can you just say what this is, and how it came about?
Okay, so yes, I just launched the collective network in Southeast Asia, which we call PR Collective Asia. And that's the professional network, including myself, with the six individuals in six countries, six markets: Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines. And these markets are kind of major markets for Japanese companies. They have their own branch in these countries and try to expand more business in these markets. So that's kind of uh, stages for Japanese companies, which is getting more and more important. And it's been 3 years actually. I moved from Tokyo to Singapore, and now Honda office expanded from Tokyo to Singapore to um, places that we are working. And as I said, my contribution to my companies in Japan is to meet the right strategy and create the right narrative for these companies and brands. And my vision was to expand our own service, not within domestic Japanese markets, but also these Asian market, which is getting more and more important to Japanese companies as the population and the market in Japan, unfortunately, is slowing down. It's a
Mhm.
we cannot back in time. So yeah, that's the vision. Keeping the flexibility to my clients. We just wanted to expand the area and the markets to support them. That was the vision of the PR Collective Asia.
Right, and working with, so not like a traditional agency network or anything like that, just working with individuals with expertise of
That's right.
these local markets, which are target markets for uh, Japanese companies, right?
Yes. So again, it's a the key thing is flexibility. We never know which clients want us to do something in which market. And well, I would say that it could be more like a product marketing support.
Hmm.
It could be corporate branding or public affairs, risk management. So these, combinations of the methods and the markets are so diversified. So I think that this kind of approach, having professionals as a collective way, would be the best to support Japanese clients.
Hmm. And you said obviously that the market in Japan is shrinking. I mean, that is something that's been happening for a long time, so it won't come as a sudden surprise to any of these big companies. And many of these companies have been in Southeast Asia for a long time.
Yes.
Um, and they're well known there. Their brands are well known. They're familiar. So why the sudden sense of urgency now? Why is there suddenly renewed interest from these companies in Southeast Asia?
Mm, mm, mm. Sure. Well, as you say, uh, there's been, you know, Japanese companies, brands, products, everything, already exist. And what I'm looking at is we're going to be kind of new stage for Japanese companies, which is more like a communications uh, strategy. uh, in terms of the like branches, subsidiaries, products are there. But what I see from public relations point of view, or even communication strategy point of view, it's not enough. Japanese companies are doing. So it's not finished, just having their product in the supermarket, or, you see their stores in Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, wherever it is. It's done, probably. But I think to get to the next stage and to really expand their business in a higher level, I think communication is the key. And when we look at what they have done in Japan, it's quite different. what we are doing in Asian markets, because Japan has 100 million, over the 100 million people, so it's a huge market. However, the way that they have been communicating is more advertising driven, and it's really simple, because Japan as a country, it's not diversified. Only Japanese speaking Japanese. So these things, what major Japanese companies have been doing in Japan, is totally different from the right way in these markets. So I think, yeah, it's more and more, communication approach is getting important. Yeah,
So are you saying that they've approached these markets with a similar mindset to how they've approached the Japanese market,
I
even
think
though
so.
we
Yeah.
know that Southeast Asia is very diverse. Every market is quite different culturally, and obviously there are
Mm.
different languages and all manner of things.
Running.
So how have they approached these markets traditionally?
Uh, One of the thing is, they tend to believe that exactly the same approach will be possible to these markets. You know, they they have kind of success case studies in Japan, targeting Japanese people. So they kind of tended to believe that, okay, let's export the success case study. We've done this in Japanese markets, so why don't we do exactly the same approach, same thing, same storytelling to the other markets? I'm just talking about the tendency of their mindset.
Hmm.
But as you know, it's a long way. Each market has each culture and different things people believe, totally different. So without deep understanding of the local culture and local insights, these kind of communication, whatever it's a product, corporate, service, will be difficult. That's the point.
And what has stopped these big companies? They have lots of presumably they have a fair amount of money to spend if they want to. But what has stopped them from investing in um, generating better local market insights? Is it, is language an issue, or is it that they simply need to change the way they think about how they approach the region?
I think it's simply the lack of knowledge and understanding of the local insights in like a Tokyo, Osaka headquarter point of view. It's not about money. They just don't know exactly, what kind of insights and culture going on. And if it's a big company, of course, there are branches and subsidiaries in each market, but they tend to focus on the local market only. Yeah. So somehow there's the gap and the frustrations going on even between headquarter people and local subsidiary people. It's
Mm.
not always perfect, to match what they believe, what kind of strategy they are talking about. Sometimes there's a gap. So I don't think it's a matter of investment of money. It's more like um, to understand the local market and to align what what is the right strategy and the right story to tell to the local market, including the people in the headquarters.
Mm. Well, I'm curious to know if you see any big differences in the way that a large Japanese company, how its communications is set up uh, in this region compared to that of other multinationals. Do you see any notable differences in the way that they're structured?
I think one of the thing is most of the cases, multinational companies headquartered in United States, London, these companies have a regional headquarter, most of the case in Singapore. And as far as I know, the people in Singapore kind of oversee the communications and the whole marketing efforts in the region, yeah, from strategic point of view. However, in Japanese companies' case, it's not like that. They do have a Singapore branch most of the case, but it doesn't have controlling, management function to oversee the marketing, communications, corporate branding in the regional level. I think that's the biggest difference between these existing multinational Western companies and the big Japanese companies.
Mm. And are they thinking about changing that?
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. I Well, of course, since I established PR Corrected Asia, I've been talking to a lot of people from Japanese companies and to really understand that there is a movement that they try to, really empower the function, whether it's in Singapore, Bangkok. Most because there is the branch subsidiary, so they try to put more, the role, the people in these cities to oversee Asian ASEAN market. At least they are trying to. They are starting to do it.
They're starting. Yeah.
I think so. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, we know that there's much more competition now. It's not just that they're competing with big Western multinationals in Southeast Asia, but there are successful Chinese companies, Korean companies, sometimes homegrown companies from each market,
Mm.
often with cheaper products, faster processes. Um, how do you see these players
Yes.
changing
Yes.
changing the game, sort of thing, for Japanese companies from a communications point of view?
That's a good point. I personally believe so. I think Japanese companies should think about it more, seriously and carefully, because besides the communication strategy, in terms of the quality of product, it used to be Japan was winner. Yeah, competing with Chinese, Korean brands, Japan is much better, quality, whether it's automotive or foods, restaurant, whatever. But these days, it's less different. They have developed more and more, and you can see like a BYD brand electric car in Singapore a lot, and it's a fantastic quality. So Chinese brands, Korean brands are really catching up the quality of the Japanese products and services. However, again, when we look at the communication strategy and how wonderfully, they are doing communicating to the consumers and their clients, I think they are maybe greater than Japanese company do. So, the quality wise, they're catching up, and the communication wise, they are probably beyond the level of the Japanese companies are doing. So, I feel it's really risky for Japanese companies that they need to think about more how to, really think about the way to compete these brands from China and Korea.
So if you think about these, for example, Chinese companies, do you have any sense of how they're approaching communications differently, and what makes it more effective?
I feel rather than Chinese, I think the Korean brands are excellent. And one of the reason why is, as you know, Korea as a country has almost half population of Japan. So back to like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they needed to go abroad, like Samsung and agency as well. They have been really in early stage looking at the success outside of Korea. So their communications and strategy development has been really, much better than Japanese company do. So it's more, from my point of view, sometimes more sophisticated than Japanese company do in domestic market. So Korean brands really get used to doing something outside of Korea much better than Japanese brands. Yeah,
Right. So they've sort of adopted that mindset of how to work
exactly,
outside
exactly.
of Korea, and they understand that it's quite different how they need to work at
I
home.
think when you look at the entertainment industry, it's obvious that if you think of the K-pop, it's
Mm.
from early stage, their strategy is a global market. Yeah, so they developed a strategy to approach the people in the world, not just in the Korean people. And if I would say the artists products of themselves, they kind of educated to train the people as artists to really well received by the people in the world. And Japan has not doing like that. They just focus on the domestic market, how to appeal Japanese people only. And yeah, finally it made quite a big difference. It's just an example of the entertainment industry, but yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I mean, the brand of Japan is still very strong. I mean, the national brand, people, of course, people love to visit Japan. People love to buy products in Japan. So it's still strong. But do you think that that is perhaps less of an advantage than it used to be?
I really think so. We as a Japanese, so lucky, still to have this kind of assets. Um, you know, the many data shows that how people love Japan in this market, Asia especially. In most of the countries' markets, favorability to Japan as a country or Japanese brands are really, more than 80% people love Japan. It's so highly, evaluated. So that's an advantage. We have it today. So, but we never know what's going to happen in the future because Korea, China, as I said, really catching up. So it could be changed coming like 5 years, 10 years. So I think we need Japanese company need to take more advantage of this highly rate favorability, which we have now, and leverage that with the very, very sophisticated communications. Yeah,
So it's a case of reinvigorating it and finding a new way to sort of capitalize on um, that liking for Japan and for
I
Japanese
think
things,
so.
Japanese
I
culture.
Yeah, I see now is the time to do it. This favorability, our assets as a Japan has been. It comes from the past, so which is good. But we need to do something new and understand the local people, local markets in ASEAN to really bring these assets to new stage. Yeah. So we need to look at the future, not just um, take advantage of the past assets. I think now is the time to really shift from the past to the future in that kind of point of view.
Hmm. And speaking of the future, do you think can AI play a role in helping companies change their approach? I mean, Japan is generally, very positive about the prospects of AI to address issues in the workforce and the declining population and everything here domestically. But in the PR industry, it's quite surprising that there doesn't seem to be that much talk of its potential
Mm.
in Japan. So I'm wondering if you see it playing a role at all for these Japanese companies that are looking to strengthen their reputation internationally.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good question. And the couple of things I am thinking, the first one is AI will change the consumers, people, in terms of how they find the brands and things like that. So it's all about the behavior of the people. I think Japanese brands, companies have to think about it more and more, not just how to use AI from company, enterprise, and the agency point of view, which is also important. But I think the biggest thing is that how consumers will change empowered by AI. It's all about the how your brands will be chosen. So that's one thing. And second thing is, yes, we there's a lot of things that we can empower ourselves as an enterprise, or agencies, people like us to support Japanese companies. Um, we can we can use AI to enhance it, but I believe that there's something AI cannot do. For example, how to create the new story or narrative, I would say, to approach certain market to capture the people's mind. For example, in Indonesia or Philippines, whatever, outside of Japan, and that's something still human being. We need to come up with the idea or narrative. So this kind of area, you cannot simply ask ChatGPT or whatever AI, what will be the best storytelling in Philippines, in Indonesia. Well, they might support us to come up with the right answer, but I think um, since these things comes from the past, AI will talk to you from the existing data and the assets from the past, something new, some new narrative, some new ideas to approach the local markets. I think that's still, we have to think about it as a human being. Yeah.
Right. So yes, I understand what you're saying. So it's still the job of people in these organizations to come up with something that will define the future rather than looking
Defining
back.
the future. Yeah,
Okay.
that's definitely. I hope so. There's the things very very important role of the people should be left, even though the AI is really evolving. We need to use AI to come up with the right narrative or idea. That's what I believe.
I mean, something interesting that one of your colleagues at PR Collective said was that she thought that Japanese companies tend to be a bit too slow. They move slow in Southeast Asia. So, can AI sort of be a tool to help them speed up potentially? Is that where it could
I
help?
think so. Yeah, that's kind of thing. Definitely AI can help them speed it up. This speed things comes from the sometimes complicated the organization structure that Japanese company have. It's more like a culture, business culture that we have in Japan. Uh, who should judge this? Who should report this to which level? This kind of the conversations are always going on. It's complicated, not as simple as many people do in Asian countries. So yes, you're right. The AI can help to speed it up in terms of the judging or process. Yeah, I think so.
If people are open to it, do you think people are open to it? Do you think there's
I think so.
appetite for that?
Yeah, yeah, they are, especially the younger generations. Uh, yeah, I
Well,
believe
now,
so.
so you said that the it can be complex decision making and everything. So, I mean, and in most cases, strategy is still directed from Tokyo. So, should that change, and should communication strategy for ASEAN
Mm.
be shifted and be directed from Singapore? And should these this or the regional team in Singapore have much more autonomy than they currently do?
Well, ideally, I think it should be developed in the headquarters in Tokyo, ideally. So the people in the headquarter, the function uh, should really be enhanced in terms of the strategy development. However, I'm not sure whether they can completely understand the each local market's insight and the culture and complete the strategy in Tokyo. Sometimes they can do. So I think depends on the companies and the people's organizations. But there is, as I said, could be shifting from Tokyo to city like Singapore to develop the strategy in Asia. Maybe doing that in Singapore will be better than doing that in headquarters. Yeah.
Right. And another change that you've talked about is you've said it's important that companies start to think of bringing brand marketing, and corporate communications closer together. Um, can you explain your thinking there?
Yes, of course. I think it's not like it's even in domestic market in Japan or maybe globally. There is not like definite difference between corporate branding and product marketing. It used to be it's more like a separate thing, right? Let's think about a corporate communications, corporate branding. It's a kind of corporate matter and how to build product service brand is more like a marketing matter. So used to be most of the cases the people who get involved either in in-house people or agency side is quite a different, but I think I see a lot of conversations going on that it has to be more integrated because from people point of view they don't care whether it's corporate branding or product branding. People do not care and even understand the difference. So I think uh, for example, like if the objective is to get more revenue, to increase the sales of certain brand, they need to think about the corporate brand as well because the people see that how this company corporate is doing, whether I like it or not, and it might affect the consumer's behavior or total perception to the company and the product brand, these days. So it's not separated anymore, and yeah, we need to somehow think about the how corporate brand contribute the sale of each product brands, and the vice versa, how each product brand might contribute the whole corporate brand. So that's kind of one of the hottest conversations and discussions going on.
Right. And do you see anyone actually doing that at the moment? Do you see companies, or do you see anyone? You don't have to name the company if you don't want to, but do you see anyone actually making that change and sort of integrating those two?
Yes.
You do. And
uh,
what are the outcomes, do you
yeah,
think?
some of the major brands in Japan, we've been helping them to what is the right way to you know, develop the integrated communications from either, corporate branding perspectives and brand marketing perspectives. And it's easy to say it, but as a reality, it's more difficult because, the more and more people get involved, and the sectionalism is quite strong. Sectionalism is quite strong in Japanese companies. So it takes time to do it, but they are trying to change the structure to develop the branding in that way, both corporate and product marketing. Yeah, it's going on.
I want to ask you a question, just to finish. I want to ask you a question not related to Japan or Japanese companies, but more, to your own business and your own ventures. But we're seeing advisory networks like PR Collective
Mhm.
spring up more often around the world, and I'm just wondering, do you think these very specialized networks of individuals could eventually overtake the more traditional network model, um, or do you think they will just coexist?
Well, since I have the boss experience since my more than 25 years, uh, my answer is co-existing. Uh, the each operation has different benefits, better weak points as well. And I think, yes, I'm aware that the more and more collective network emerging, not in Asia, United States, Europe. I think it's a good move, but it doesn't mean that this kind of a collective network is everything. Yeah. So I think from if I see that from client's perspective, it depends on them. When they need like a big agency to roll out something big, or maybe they need solid strategy, um, and with understanding the local insights and the deeper understanding of the market, maybe the collective will be better. So I think it depends on what clients want to do, in where and with which brands. So yeah, so I think this is just more options for them to choose, even though there has to be literacy, knowledge and judgment going on, which is not so easy to Japanese companies. But in general, I think this is a good move, more collective network, and of course, coexisting with the traditional type of the agencies. That's what I think. Yeah.
Coexistence. So it's not so much direct competition, but more giving clients more options.
I think so. For example, in Japan, what we've been doing is we haven't really compete with the existing Japanese PR agency or other agencies in Japan. It was more like a co-creation and co-working. So clients came to us to ask, just strategy, insightful narrative development, whatever, and we simply handed over to existing PR agencies or even ad agencies like Dentsu, Hakuhodo, in Japan. So I think it's a win-win-win situation. Yeah, client side, it's a really perfectly integrated strategy and execution can be possible, and we do just simply do our work. And for existing agencies, it's a new business opportunities rather than competing to the collective model. So I think yes, coexistence and win-win situation could be possible.
Teamwork and sort of passing the baton when it makes
Right. Right.
yeah, understand. Okay. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our session. So thank you very much for joining us today, Tetsuya. It's
You're
been really
welcome.
interesting chatting with you. And I want to wish you all the best with everything you're doing. And I hope to see you again soon in person. And
Thank you, David. Yeah,
a
I
big
really
thank you
enjoyed the
also.
conversation. Yeah.
Excellent. And a big thank you also to our production partners, Earshot Media.